Hello, James Redfield.
Hello, how are
Good,
you?
good, thank you. Good to have you today. I'm glad we connected via Carl Kalman, the expert on the Maya calendar, and I did recently an interview with him. And you wrote an article. Of course, you wrote the Celestine Prophecy that millions of people have read. But you wrote recently an article, a very interesting article called "The Energetic Countdown to 2012," that I'll
Yes.
actually post a link to the description of this video.
Great.
But can you tell us a little bit more, because this is a very important and crucial conversation right now to have. Can you tell us about your interest about with the Maya calendar, and at which point of your work you used it as part of the development of your books, and why is it so important right now?
Well, I think that Carl is very, very important at this moment in history for all of us. Carl Johan has been studying the Mayan calendar for many, many, many years now. And I think he is the one that has really focused on and really discovered the true message of the Maya for us, for our time. And this is that human history has always been motivated by waves of consciousness, pulses that have come into us, have been accessible to us, that have shaped our creativity and our reality, really. And now, in these years, this whole progress of consciousness is coming and being available to us in a way that is stronger than ever before. And the real message of the Maya is that we have access to a greater level of consciousness, and that all of human history has been motivated and pushed forward by this consciousness. It's in our time that there is a culmination, a phase that's coming in that will bring in what is called a universal consciousness, and that is a spiritual awareness that's emerging. You know, why this is important to us is that we can individually have access to this consciousness. It
Mm-hmm.
feels a certain way. It's coming in stages just in the next 2 years. And our work, Carl's work and my work sort of coincide in the fact that I seek to describe these steps in consciousness in terms of how they really feel, how we know we're have access to this consciousness, how it changes our lives, and it's culminating in an interesting time because I'm working currently on what I'm calling the 12th insight,
Yeah.
which is just the 12th and sort of culminating level of the consciousness that I've been seeing happening out there. So it's very exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
to be alive right now when we're understanding finally not only the whole purpose of history, but our own part in pushing forward this final thrust of consciousness in the human arena.
So would you say we're finally playing a conscious role?
We are, and that begins with understanding how it feels, how we can be, how it energizes our individual lives, how we can find a calling that the world will mysteriously open up for us through mysterious synchronicities that I talk about throughout my work. So it's the message, Carl's message and my message, I think is essentially the same, which is partake of this consciousness, and it will shift your life in amazing ways. And I think precisely right now we're figuring out how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a bit of a difference, though, between your opinion and Carl's. Can you tell us about that?
Well, Carl says, well, it's no difference at all, and it in the large sphere of things, it's just a matter of emphasis. I think Carl emphasizes that this great sweeping wave of consciousness is coming into us, and it will shift society dramatically and will sweep us along with that. I emphasize that it will work best for us if we understand that we have to open up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a precise procedure or kind of process, I believe, and we're discovering what that process is in the steps in these final years before the universal consciousness hits us. We're, I think, understanding how we're incrementally downloading this awareness and putting it into action in our lives. The difference is, over the last 50 years, we've understood a lot of it mentally. What's happening now is that we're understanding that it can be sort of brought into our lives as a new set of habits, a new set of a new ethics toward other people, toward the world. And when we do that, we really do download the best of this consciousness and quickly without a lot of conflict.
So we'll talk about later how to download actually this information and what kind of action we can take. But can you tell us how it feels like and what it will feel like? Is that going to change?
Well, I think that we're just going to get more of what we've always felt, and I've always believed, and I've tried to look at society and the spiritual development that I've seen and break that down into steps, or what I've called insights. And it all begins in the main measure, I believe, is the sense of synchronicity that we can begin to perceive and begin to act on in life. And that means, taking advantage of these mysterious ways that information is brought to us, that we are intuitively led to say certain things to complete strangers, and it turns into a magical conversation in which both lives are changed. Take advantage of that process more. And so it's a matter of, first of all, really acknowledging this flow that we can step into, learning how to keep it going, and also adopting what I call a new ethical stance.
Is that what you called about the enlightened capitalism?
Yes, well, that's what it leads to, and it's essentially an alignment with the divine universal intent of this historical progression and of this gaining this new awareness, and that's beginning already to create a disgust with unethical behavior out there, lies and manipulations and corruption that we see everywhere. It begins with a disgust, and then it begins with shifting our own personal lives into one of integrity and alignment with divine intent. And there's just two things necessary for that. We have to tell the whole truth that we know, the best as we know, the truth that we know all the time. And we have to make every action and everything we say in the other person's or the world in general's best interest, as authentically we can establish that. So, in other words, if we tell the truth and we tell the truth in the other person's best interest, we're in alignment with this natural evolution of consciousness that's been happening. So it's a new ethical stance. It's much more difficult than any of us know to do that all the time, to not shade the truth in any way, even the slightest way.
So is that really like becoming vulnerable to what is, just saying what's on our mind, and having no more, just what some people call being authentic?
That's exactly right. It's an authentic expression of truth without caring if people adopt it or if we look good saying it. It's in no way manipulating a person's perception of us or perception of what we're saying in order to get some sort of individual control or benefit. So it's an authenticity and an integrity to say and do everything in the other person's best interest without benefiting. Now, you said enlightened capitalism. That's what it winds up being. I think that, I believe in the central way, the moderate way. We have to let things evolve. We have to act to rid the corruption out of the financial dealings worldwide. But we can't. No government can do this. No dictator could declare it. There's no way to have it happen except through the free will and exchange of people who decide, oh, I have these resources and I can act in the best interest. Now, it's a different kind of capitalism. You know, you don't see
Clearly.
examples of it, but
Yeah.
it's a natural progression that is a natural instinct of us taking our resources and helping other people with it.
So it's going to
And that
get worse
is,
before getting better.
well, it could even fall apart if it doesn't evolve fast enough, and it'll have to all be put back together. I think that some of the intuitions that people are using to declare that 2012 is the end of the world and it's all going to stop and that's it for everybody, you know, those are intuitions that, you know, this may be this final transition may be challenging, but what we have to remember, what Carl's saying, what the Maya are saying to us, is that if we download the consciousness, we will be guided through that spiritually. And it doesn't have to be a total collapse. If enough of us download this consciousness and act where we are in place in the economy to shift to a practice of integrity around money and finances and security, then what happens is that we can evolve it, and it doesn't have to fall apart.
Really suffering and then want something different and jump off of this cliff, because it's for some people it's really something so new, so scary. I mean, how do you deal with that? What is your recommendation?
Individually, we just have to open up to the guidance that's waiting on us. And that's what this consciousness is. As more comes in, as the Maya predicted, we have greater access to it. You know, we close off in fear and not get any of it. We have that choice. But if we realize it's opening up, that is the solution to the fear, solution to the unknowingness, uncertainty. And what happens is when we open up, and this is, I've called it the fifth insight, the mystics of every religion talk about this, it's the download. We can't do it with our egos alone. We have to download this greater knowledge and ability and these psychic powers that are waiting on us. And once we do that, then we can move from wherever we are, whatever we're facing, into a kind of flow that brings us just the information, the intuition that guides us to say the right things, and a new door will open up to solve that particular problem. No government can do it. No person can do it. Only we as individuals can make that connection and make it happen. But it's there, and it's, as Carl says, it's sweeping on us now, so that never before have we had this kind of accessibility to this greater knowledge and greater wisdom and a greater ability to ride this synchronistic flow through life.
So how can we best what can we do? Is there some actions that we should take to best handle this shift?
In these years, this whole progress of consciousness is coming and being available to us in a way that is stronger than ever before. And the real message of the Maya is that we have access to a greater level of consciousness, and that all of human
Used it as part of the development of your books, and why is it so important right now?
Well, I think that Carl is very, very important at this moment in history for all of us. Carl Johan has been studying the Mayan calendar for many, many, many years now. And I think he is the one that has really focused on and really discovered the true message of the Maya for us, for our time. And this is that human history has always been motivated by waves of consciousness, pulses that have come into us, have been accessible to us, that have shaped our creativity and our reality, really. And now,
Very interesting article called The Energetic Countdown to 2012 that I'll
yes,
actually post a link to the description of this video.
great.
But can you tell us a little bit more, because this is a very important and crucial conversation right now to have. Can you tell us about your interest with the Maya calendar, and at which point of your work you Hello, James Redfield.
Hello, how are
Good,
you?
good, thank you. Good to have you today. I'm glad we connected via Carl Coleman, the expert on the Maya calendar, and I did recently an interview with him. And you wrote an article. Of course, you wrote the Celestine Prophecy that millions of people have read. But you wrote recently an article